And welcome back to part 11 of Death End Request, where today this part won't be 50 minutes, but today we're going to be trying to work our way through the Godot ruins and trying to fight or avoid the corpse depending on what becomes easier. That being said, there is an encounter here that I missed out on last time to show off the cutscene, so I do show it off here. And because of Al's group-wide abilities, you can see here I'm hitting a good chunk of the enemies here, and she gets a new skill out of the affair as well, Solar Eruption, which is an amazing skill, as you just saw there, as a whole bunch of enemies die. And because it was right in the middle of it, kind of like an explosion of like a snooker table when you whack the ball, all the other enemies just went flying everywhere. But as you can see, I'm still actively trying to find new skills for the characters, but at this sort of point, if you're following along, you'll be at the point where just spamming the same skill several times is unlikely to earn you a new skill. You'll have to actually start mixing and matching and thinking outside the box and just kind of trying every combination you can possibly imagine to try and learn some of these skills, which is worth doing. But at the same time, if you don't do it and you've just got these base skills that you're kind of at now, you can still kind of make it through, so don't worry about it too much. Like, it will be harder because you'll have less variety of attacks, but it's not impossible, so don't panic too much. But as you can see here, I'm using Claire in party, which is her first battle, so I'm immediately trying to see if I can teach her some new skills, because her skills are actually amazing. And as I mentioned before, she's entirely ranged based, similar to Lily, but her stats as a whole are kind of just better. Just better variety and better skills to it. Like, a couple of her attacks are more close range, so you have to take that risk and get closer, which is something Lily doesn't have to worry about. So I guess that's the compromise. Lily can remain at a distance for the whole time, whilst Claire has to risk getting in close from time to time. But it still doesn't change the fact that I feel that Claire just straight up replaces Lily, which is something I will criticise. There wasn't enough diversity with the moveset, and Claire just straight up becomes a replacement of another character. That shouldn't happen, I feel. We don't know where it'll come from. Stay sharp, everyone. We'll get it this time. Damn you, corpse. You threatened my reputation. Now you must pay with your life. Oh, here comes the corpse, the giant from before, that caused all that trouble. But now we get to fight it as a boss fight, so all that trouble better have been worth it. These footsteps, it's coming. And there's a death end here, and it's very obvious, but just in case, save anyway. If you say, I'm scared, instead of trying to fight the thing. Seeing the massive size of our foe had shattered our morale into pieces. Perhaps if we had a fearless leader to march us into battle, we would have survived. But within a few minutes, we were ripped to shreds. That one I feel is kind of pointless. Like, that's the one, like, I've mentioned it before, but there's a whole bunch of death ends that I would probably remove to give more time to others, like to make them more, to flesh out other ones, and that's one of the ones I think I would have just got rid of, because what's the point? Same as that eating the poisoned fish. That one I would have got rid of. As funny as it was, I would have got rid of it. There you are, you big scrap punk. I'm going to throw you into the oven. Watch out for his devastating attacks. One wrong move and you're dead. Yeah. But it's time for a boss fight, and make sure you're extra prepared, because this is actually going to be several bosses back to back. So after this guy's over, we do have another boss fight coming up, but the corpse, for as big and as menacing as it is, I hate to break it to you, not that hard. We fought tougher than normal enemies. This guy is not that tough. Like, he does hit quite hard if he whacks you, and he has a laser attack that can also be a bit of a pain, but well, you're gonna see as we go forward. This isn't a difficult fight. Like, once you get into a pattern, it's not too bad. And I use it as an excuse to just try and teach Claire more new skills, which is why I'm taking a while to decide what skill I use. Because Claire's SP is kind of tiny at the start. Well, everyone's is to an extent, but Claire's you kind of feel it the most because of how expensive a lot of her skills are. Which is why you can see I'm trying to brave as many glitch spots as I can to boost her SP. And I love the animations of Claire. Like, she kind of dances with a lot of her attacks. So she does these little movements and things like that. And if you can get a good chain going, it looks like a full-on choreographed dance at the end of it. Like, I like the idea of keeping her flowing and keeping her movement like that through battle. Like, everyone has little characteristics of how they move. But like it says, Shina's is the most blunt. She just swung that sword and called it a day. I've always admired the way they've handled the animations for Claire, and I hope they have a character kind of like that, or expands on that in the sequel. Just have fun with the animations. I always appreciate games that do that, where they mess around and have a bit more creativity with the animations without it compromising any of the pace. Like, just making really animation heavy, but just to do one thing, then no, fuck off. I'd rather it be quick and moving. But Claire keeps quick, whilst having a little rhythm with how she moves. And if you don't want to see it, well, you can just tap R1 at any point and it skips the animation. It just does the attack. You might have seen me do it a handful of times throughout this. And here, like, I don't know if it actually is weak to Star, but it seemed to be taking extra damage from Star-based attacks, so I think that's why I end up spamming for the rest of the fight.
It's a great idea. So long. One more time.
But the boss is already nearly dead. The Star attacks from Shina, the power that Al has, because although she's not the strongest, she's pretty damn strong, matched with her speed as well. And then Claire adding constant barrage. This fight isn't too tough, and even if you don't use Claire and you're still using Lily, Al and Shina will carry the fight pretty well anyway. Like, you don't need to worry too much, because this is still early-ish in the game. This is still good in terms of power-wise for Lily. Because like I said, late game Lily becomes a lot weaker, but early game she's actually pretty good. She is still pretty good now. It's just this is sort of ish around the point where her worth starts to deteriorate. So I'm still going to be using her in fights from time to time, because I try and mix up the cast as we go. The only constant is Shina, because she's the main character, so I wanted her to be in every fight. But as a whole, you are going to see that Lily's worth becomes less and less as this goes on. Like, every time she's in battle, you're going to see, like, wow, she's not doing that much. Especially to some of the other characters we get later on. But that's the end of the corpse. I say it's not that difficult of a fight. If you just keep on it, it's not that bad. It doesn't even hit you that hard, despite all the tension of the story making you think it otherwise. Beep, boo, 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 boo. Ah! Claire, that was overkill! That's more like it. At last, we've beaten it! Wait, something's not right. That aura... oh no. Q. Ah! The ground's shaking! There it is, the Yatoma Queen! What the hell is that? I've never seen such a hideous beast. Are you serious? 2 boss monsters in a row? Can you handle it, Shina? I'll try! Their monster might be the source of bugs that are corrupting this region. Damn it, one after the next. Never underestimate a programmer, scanning for weaknesses. Yeah, just like that, would jump straight into the second boss. Which, to be fair, I actually think has a kind of a cool design. I like the rainbow wings of this thing. I think it's a cool idea with it. But this is the Yatoma Queen of the region, and this is kind of the reason why I think the corpse is such an easy fight, because they knew you was going to be fighting 2 in a row here. But then at the same time, this fight, it is harder than the corpse, I'll give it that, but it's not too bad either. The only thing that's annoying is that this thing's speed or evasion rate is kind of aggravatingly high. Like, there's a lot of attacks that will just miss during this fight, and it will start to frustrate you as you go on. But as you can see there, this thing is actually weak to sun attacks, because a low-level sun attack did the same amount of damage as a mid-level star attack. But we don't have any high-level fire attacks. Like, we can get one for Shina, but the combination of getting the next level of sun, I hadn't clocked yet, because I refused to look up a walkthrough whilst going through it. I wanted to see how many of them I could do off memory. I do get it in the end. Like, in my recording, I've got it now. I just didn't have it at this point, as we unlock more attacks for Claire instead. And this is a attack where, because of its this is an enemy even, where because of its size, circling it and having it bounce between the 3 team members is a godsend. Because the damage it takes from bouncing off enemies or bouncing off the wall is actually pretty decent, so it is worth going for when you can. Alternatively, you are welcome to try and use an install genre, since there's so many glitch spots and most of them barely do any damage, so getting your glitch percentage below 50 isn't too hard. Just be precise with your shots, because like I said, the hitboxes on enemies is very deceptive. Which is why you can see I'm taking my time before I fire, because it's very easy to just miss. Like for the game to just not register your shot. The main thing, like I always say, is to not aim for the boss, but to aim for the bar, but don't lift up or lower for the boss's level. Like keep it straight, but just lined up with their health bar. That's usually the safest bet. And see, I'm still trying to see if I can learn new skills, but we haven't actually got any space in the command deck for a new skill. If I don't get all the skills during the playthrough, which I probably won't because it's quite a grind, but if I don't get all the skills in this playthrough, I will show them off because in my mains file I do have them all. As Claire just got one shot. I mean, this boss is harder because it does hit like a truck, but it's not the end of the world tough. You just have to be wary for its singular attacks. If it individualizes someone, they might go down in that one attack. And because these glitch spots, although they're not that brutal, they will stack up. You might want to be careful about your positioning whilst you get to the characters. Whilst also being aware that if you're close enough to a character to resurrect them with a cold brew, you're also close enough to be caught in an attack. Because enemies have attack boxes, so if you guys fit into that box, you'll all be hurt by it. So I take an even bigger risk by taking Shina over here to heal everyone. Which is another thing I'd recommend, but be cautious, because having all three members here means all three of us are at risk of being hit. Which kind of what happened there. The only person who managed to get away relatively lucky is Al, but the other two got whacked, and whacked hard. Let's go. So I need to make a point of mentioning it. Like I've heard a few people out in the forums like really hate on the English cast for Death End Request, but not even biased. I think both of them are like as good and as bad as each other. Like they're quite low budget, but there are some familiar faces in here. Like the voice of Claire is the voice of Anne from Persona 5. For instance, like it's a very talented actress. Like, it's a very talented cast. I just think the direction for this game sometimes is a bit on the rush side, but it is present on both the English and Japanese version. I've listened to both, and the Japanese have some real fucking awful points, but they also have some really good ones, whilst the English has some really good ones and some pretty rough ones. But as a whole, both I think are fine. I hear people bitching about the English cast. I'm like, have you heard the Japanese cast? Neither of them are god tier. Like both sides have got really talented actors and actresses, in my opinion. It's just the voice direction that's a bit questionable at points. And I say this because the other game that was made by this company that came out the same year, this year, but I say that this one was made entirely by GRPG, and the other game was made in partnership with Idea Factory, so Idea Factory probably had a say of it. But the fact is that the other game they made, Dragon Star Varnir, pretty much has the same voice cast, just with different characters, obviously. And the voice direction is so much better. Like you get to hear the best light of a lot of the actors and actresses in that game compared to this one. But I say that in confidence in saying I don't think the cast is bad at all in either version. Look, they have their moments, but I don't have a problem with either cast. I think it's a perfectly average cast. Like it's a very talented cast, just perfectly average direction even. As we use a bit of healing with Claire, who oddly doesn't learn a new skill out of just healing alone. Which is a bit odd, because usually like when you unlock a new character, and this rule continues to apply for the entire cast, when you unlock a new character, it starts off easy to unlock new skills for them. You just spam free of any attack and it will unlock something new. So the fact that Claire has a couple attacks that right out of the gate don't do that, like it's starting to ask a bit more from you. Like you have to actually think about it. And you can see here, I'm looking at some of the code tracks to see what I can do, and so I eventually decided to change the bugs on the arena to magical, which boosts your SP recovery by 30%, but it does take a bigger chunk out of your life. So if you are going to do that, face the risk versus reward. You get more SP out of it, but you're risking more as a cost. But Claire is probably your best bet in this fight if I had to suggest anyone, because a lot of her attacks the enemy seems to be weak to. I think the boss is weak to ranged attack, so at least it kind of gives off the impression it is. So if you can unlock a couple skills with Claire, which, if I've already got skills for her, and the only fight you saw me do with Claire is the ones you've seen, then you should absolutely be able to get those skills by now, and kind of rinse the fight. But when you beat it, you get a really good amount of experience. Everyone leveled up like 4 or 5 times, and the thing will die. Also worth mentioning, anyone who's not in the party does get the experience as well, so don't think that the character will be on their own, sort of thing. What the? Our buggies fell on the crystal that come out of the Atoma Queens once they're dead. I've seen mine eat stones that are dropped by fallen martyrs, but I've never seen mine bounce so excitedly. Shina, are you okay? My stomach hurts. Oh no, I think I'm gonna be sick. Shina, hey, what's wrong with her? Each time that buggy eats a crystal, Shina regains some of her memories. Only with these crystals can she return to her normal self. Hang in there, Shina. And look, we can't really criticise the voice actors and actresses when I'm voicing the characters half the time. I'm not that good.
I can't move my body again, but I need to move as soon as... Please! Stop! Please! Please! The world is falling apart. What? What happened? Is that... No! A virus? No! That can't be. No! Please, not that! Please! I'm begging you. Don't kill me. Please! No! Jesus! Why must she suffer?
Shina's memories seem pretty unkind to her. Maybe it was trauma that caused her to lose her memory for a year. Just a theory I'm throwing out there. Take deep breaths. It's okay, Shina. Thanks, Lily. I feel much better after bathing. Oh, I'm sorry. I soiled everything. Don't worry about that. Shina! Al, thanks for being here. So how'd it go? Did any of your memories return? Yes, in my dreams I saw a giant monster, larger than I could see with my own eye. A giant monster? With one roar, the ground beneath me was split open. Wait, did you see the Atoma Scourge? I don't know. All I know is I can't shake the sound of the monster's shrill cry from my mind. It was desperate, pained. It sounded like a cry for help. Which doesn't offer us any real insight as to where or how you're here. Right. I never knew that you'd lost your memories. I hope they return to you soon. Thank you. Now, Rosario Forest is just beyond this point. Are you sure you still want to travel with us? I can't promise you that the road ahead won't be difficult or incredibly dangerous. Of course, that's a stupid question. Huh? Danger? Been there, done that. Besides, all my items are used up for now. As a result, I'm out of business for the time being. If you leave me behind, then I might be in serious trouble. I don't intend on leaving you behind. Guess that means you're in charge of me now, huh? Okay. Shina, you're too nice. Claire, honesty is always the best policy. I agree. If you want to tag along with us, just say it. Shut up. I can say whatever I want, how I want. Come on, gang, let's go. Aww. Yeah, so even Claire can be cute sometimes. The whole cast is cute. I love this cast. I know I say that like for a lot of games like Let's Play on this channel, but I wouldn't Let's Play if I didn't love them. Well, maybe Devil May Cry 2. I fucking hated that game. I just wanted to cover it for the sake of covering it. But as a whole, if I love a game, I'll cover it on this channel. And as much as I have my criticisms with it, one of the things I always adore about this game is its cast. All of the cast are really lovable and just enjoyable, but their conflicts and their reasonings for fighting are justifiable. Also, not only can you buy new weapons for Claire here, but you might notice there's a weapon called Demenitation here. Or Dementation there. Which is for our next character that'll be joining us. Yeah, you can buy a weapon for a character that's not even joined us yet, and won't for a couple parts. But that's kind of a weird thing. Like, you could actually buy a gun for Claire during the last dungeon when we was in the shipyard. Like, they let you buy a weapon for the next character to come up before you meet them. Firstly, congratulations are in order. You have a new party member, so the fun is just beginning. As usual, however, no one has a sense to me, so I feel somewhat lonely. Do you think this is a bug of some kind? I recall you mentioning the subject before, something about impurities. Say she's special, except that she's bugged. But on that note, next time on Death End Request, we'll be working our way through the rest of the Godot ruins to try and get into the Rosaria forest. But until then, as Rapuka calls us a weirdo, I'll see you then. Take care now.